Hello, my little Luxxes. This is another episode of Luxxy Charms, and I'm your host, cosplayer Charsie Luxxx, and this is another episode of a movie review. This episode is going to be a very special movie review episode because this is going to be a horror film that is a comfort film for me as well, because anybody who follows me on social media or has been following me on Twitter, you've kind of been getting little bits of information that it's been a very rough month so far, that me and my husband have been dealing with flooding issues, and on top of that, we have a very old leaky roof that needs to be replaced. In fact, I hear the thunderstorm going on right now. So obviously with the roof leaking, we haven't had it replaced yet. So anytime that it rains now, it kind of makes me worried. My skin is peeling already. Anyway, I keep getting off topic. So this horror movie was very important for me, that it's like, so we have this month's theme, which is It Paranoia? Is It Parasites? So picking a film that's about parasites, I am doing my movie review on the film Splinter. And this movie is an underrated, and this movie is an underrated gem, like by 1000%. It is so underrated for the appreciation that it should be getting for a film. This one was filmed back in 2008, obviously by my lovely attempt at my cosplay. We have the parasite taking over, so I would like to give a spoiler alert, since this film is about the 2008 film Splinter. If you have not seen this, please be advised that spoilers are ahead. I'm going to give a lot of information about the movie. You have been forewarned. As the rain really comes down now. God, I hope I lose power in the middle of doing this. I will just continue on and hope for the best, because that has been my luck lately. Hoping for the best. Which just means that's more water I need to pick up. Anyway, I might just restart this whole thing because it's been a mess already. Trying to start with this whole cosplay in the first place was a wonderful hot mess, because I couldn't find my spirit gum, and I had this wonderful idea of getting the spikes. There, you can see them, because in the film Splinter, the parasite is a bunch of moldy parasitic spikes, and so obviously Splinter is the whole point of the whole film. And I had this wonderful, awesome idea of how to do this, but I couldn't find my spirit gum. And so the only thing that I had handy was Elmer's glue, and that was not working at all. So I had this whole thing ready to go, and it's like I should have looked for the spirit gum in the first place. I mean, that was my mistake. And my wonderful husband went out and he went to Joann's Fabric to see if he could find Halloween costume makeup or spirit gum there. There was nothing, so he went to Walmart, and of course nothing is sponsored. Anything I'm talking about is not sponsored. Everything is paid for by mine and my husband's own money. And so finally I said to him, because like their Walmart didn't even have their Halloween stuff out. Everybody else and their mother has their Halloween stuff out. But in the area we live, there's like only a few like places you can go. So my poor husband is trying to help me with this issue and problem. And I finally say to him, I'm like, lash glue. I bet I can use lash glue. And he's like, well, there's no, and I'm like, no, you can go to the cosmetic area and there should be lashes there, and so there should be lash glue. Finally, on like the last possible shelf, because everywhere he was looking, either the lashes were out or the glue was out. So he finally found one that had some lash glue in it, and thank God it seems to be working. So maybe that'll be the next joke. I have 13 on my face right now, so we'll go by like how long this film is and how much it's still stuck to my face. We shall see. Anyway, so to our movie review, so I don't go into panic mode while it's raining outside. Deep breath. Good thoughts. Happy thoughts. We will start with it's gonna sound like someone's peeing outside. This is what this whole thing's gonna be. I should probably actually introduce the characters or the cast before I do this, considering it's such a small cast. But it's still so good, even though it's such a small cast. So you have Shea Wingham as Dennis Farrell, Jill Wagner as Polly Watt, Paulo Costanzo as Seth Belzer. And with saying that name, I'm going to apologize if I butcher any names, because obviously I am not good at pronouncing names. Charles Baker as Blake Sherman Jr., Rachel Curbs as Lacey Belisle, and Laurel Whitsett as Sheriff Terry Frankel. And it should also be important for me to tell who the director and writer is, because they're just as important. Well, I mean, the entire cast and crew is important to a film. You wouldn't have a film without everybody. Like, everybody's part is important in a movie. And you have director Toby Wilkins, and the writers were Ian Shore, Kaya Berry, once again, I apologize if I butcher any names, and Toby Wilkins. And Toby Wilkins is uncredited here for the information that I'm getting from IMDb. So for my little plot synopsis that I'm just going to make up on the spot, because I'm special and yay, Mother Nature. I'm special and decided to just kind of wing this plot synopsis. I am just gonna start over with the plot synopsis because my nightmare happened. Big strike of lightning hit and we lost power. So now I gotta try to remember where the hell I was in this whole entire mess of a episode. Deep breaths. Everybody deep breath. In fact, what we are going to do, we're going to try and take this in stride. Once again, I'm not sponsored by anything. We are going to put some peanut butter whiskey. We're going to add it in with my coffee. I've earned it. I don't drink a lot anymore, but I think I earned it today, so I don't freak out. My hyperhidrosis is in hyperdrive right now, so if you ever wonder how bad my hands can get, I have fans off so they don't make noise. I don't even know what this episode's going to be anymore. Maybe I should just have some random shit. Random shit. Anywho, so I'm probably gonna have to watch this movie again tonight for a comfort film. Splinter, which was recorded in 2022. I swear I'm not drunk. I just started drinking. Splinter was recorded in 2008, which happened to be the time frame when I was in college, community college, I should say. I was one of those smart-ass kids that got all my gen eds out of the way before I went to my four-year school, before I went to NIU. So, I don't know how much of the plot synopsis I was getting out before we lost power, So, I will start over. We have Polly and Seth, who are out camping because they are celebrating their anniversary. And Polly, who loves camping, loves nature, talks her very nerdy, all about the books boyfriend into camping with her. Now, mind you, Seth doesn't want to go camping. He doesn't like bugs. He just wants to celebrate the anniversary at a hotel. But Polly talks him into the fact that she wants to basically get busy with him under the stars, which is what she was looking forward to. Well, the poor couple end up having a mishap. Mishap. That might be similar to what I'm dealing with right now. Might be fitting for this situation right here. So, cheers, my friends. So, Polly and Seth accidentally end up breaking their tent. So, they pack up everything and they head down the road. Well, unbeknownst to them, characters Dennis and Lacey are on the run from the law because Dennis has just broken out of prison. He's a convict on the run, and their vehicle breaks down. So Dennis and Lacey decide that while Seth and Polly are on their way on the road, Polly flags them down. Lacey flags them down. So when they are stopped by Polly, Dennis takes this as his advantage to basically threaten them with a gun to open the car up. And so poor Seth and Polly are held hostage by Dennis and Lacey. But unfortunately, Lacey is a drug addict, but it's been a couple of days since her last hit. So she's kind of on the downward spiral where she needs another hit because she's hallucinating. She's just very depressive, manic depressive. Well, on the way on their travels, Polly accidentally hits something that runs out into the road in front of them, and unbeknownst to them, this was a critter that was infected with a strange parasite that happens to have a bunch of spikes and splinters on it. Well, while Polly gets out of the car and Dennis is helping her change the tire to the now flat tire to this vehicle, Lacey decides that she wants to save this animal that they ran over in the road because she keeps envisioning it that this animal is her puppy. Now, mind you, this is her puppy she had named Ginger, and this poor animal was already gone and dead and buried, but she kept envisioning that the animal they had hit was Ginger. So she forces Seth to try and revive this dead puppy, but it's really just an unknown critter, but because it's infected with this strange parasite, it lashes out at Seth, and it really freaks Lacey the fuck out. And since she's always tripping out at this point, she starts running for the vehicle. I wonder how many times it will lose power. So, while Lacey is freaked out and she's running for the vehicle, they all end up leaving. Mind you, they tried leaving without Seth, but Polly would stand her ground and wouldn't leave without her man, so good for you, Polly. She's not someone I would mess with. Anyway, when they ran over this critter, this thing's spikes ended up puncturing the radiator. So the car overheats, but luck would have it, they end up right next to a gas station. So they're able to stop right at the gas station, and they should be able to get help, right? Wrong! Unfortunately, with this gas station, at the beginning of the movie, you are given this little hint of a gas attendant who happens to like ladies in bikinis and Cape Cod chips. Those chips are really delicious, so I really want some Cape Cod chips now. Anyway, so they end up there, but at the beginning of the film, this gas station attendant is actually the first victim to this parasitic I guess it's technically supposed to be a raccoon, but it's not recognizable because it's completely mutated from this parasite that's in it. So this gas station attendant is now infected, so they end up at this gas station where unfortunately Lacey ends up getting attacked by this gas station attendant. Well, now Lacey is infected with this parasite as well, and the other three, Dennis, Polly, and Seth, all end up locked in this gas station to protect themselves. And the whole situation turns into where, even though at the beginning you think Seth is this big weenie, that he's this scaredy cat, he's really whiny about nature and camping and this and that, but he's extremely smart, and his field is in biology. And that was one of the jokes that his girlfriend Polly was giving him, because when they were on their travels, he kept talking about this forest and the fact that this forest had some of the oldest trees in America, some as old as 400 to 500 years old. And, or was it 300 to 400? Either way, these are the oldest trees in America. And Polly was giving him a hard time, like, you know, if you were in nature as much as you were reading about it, she goes, we'd be camping under the stars right now. But Seth is also kind of the one who brings up the whole topic that this area was kind of being forested right now for lumber. So it's kind of giving little hints, little tiny hints in the film, the cleverness of it, that you don't actually see the logging company happening, but you're just supposed to kind of piece together that because they are now deforesting some of the areas of these very old trees, they've kind of unleashed or released some of these weird, strange parasites that it's kind of making me think of an episode from X-Files. If you have, actually, I want to say it was a tweet that I literally just talked about here recently, was one of my favorite episodes from the X-Files, Darkness Falls. It's kind of the exact same idea, that it's a logging company, they cut down these trees. Well, in the center of these old trees is this strange parasite that they release. Or in that one's case, I think it was more of an insect. But this one, it's a parasite. And as time goes on, and as they're fighting Lacey and everything else going on, that, well, it's not Lacey anymore. As they're fighting the parasitic Lacey, the parasitic gas attendant, and everything else going on, Seth starts piecing together that this strange organism, this parasite, is kind of a mold, it's a fungus, because in one of the scenes, Dennis ends up thinking that he's helping Lacey because Lacey is dead, but her body starts moving because this parasite can just take over the body. So essentially the person kind of starts becoming a zombie. So it's kind of a cool creature feature type of film with the idea of a zombie. And so this parasite that's taking over Lacey's body, it's moving her arm and taking control of her. So Dennis, of course, wants to save his girlfriend. So in the process of trying to go out and help her, well, with him running back to the gas station to get help from Seth and Polly, they end up chopping off the hand of Lacey. And the hand moves on its own. So then it kind of starts turning into an idea that you have the creature feature that you're fighting against thing from like the Addams Family. So a lot of fun elements with that. And if anybody knows me, some of my favorite horror movies out there are creature features. So this one's just this wonderful element that you have all these ideas where the creature feature that you're fighting this monster, you're fighting this parasite. Also the idea that you're fighting against man, because of course you have the whole idea that Dennis and Lacey, when they hold both Seth and Polly hostage, you have them against each other. But you also down the road end up with man against himself. And that kind of stems from the idea right around the beginning when Dennis is helping Polly change that flat tire from that parasite. There were some spikes left over from that parasite in the tire, and he pricked his finger. And throughout the film, you're watching poor Dennis get the infection taking over his hand to his arm. And as this parasite is taking over his body slowly through time and everything, that it becomes him against himself because this thing is taking over his body. So it's this whole awesome inside of you of all these different elements going on in this movie. And it's, like I said, it's a very underappreciated gem that's out there. At least I hope I had said it, because I can't remember if I had said it at the part where we lost power, and I probably don't have access to that video. Anyway. You have the whole element where they all have to fight against these parasites. They're taking over the dead. And you also have an element where there's a cop that shows up that she thinks that she's going to arrest Dennis, because remember, he's a escaped convict. He's an escaped convict on the run. So this cop thinks that she is going to essentially arrest Dennis. Well, of course, you have the young couple who is yelling at this cop, like, hey, get in your car, call this in, you're not safe right now. Well, of course, she's not going to listen to them. So the cop kind of becomes a parasite as well. But it's just these awesome elements that keep happening throughout this film. And one of the things that I love the most about this one is that it kind of pays homage to a lot of different horror films. If you are a lover of the movie The Thing, you would love this film. It pays a lot of homage to that one. And another element that they kind of pay homage to is Tremors 2, which is one of my favorite films out there. And one of the scenes is that this parasite is attracted to heat. So obviously Seth kind of figures that out, and when he figures that out, they bring his body temperature down so that he can go out to the police car so that he can radio in for help. So you have that whole element where they're paying homage to that horror movie. And if they didn't, and if it was some kind of like happy coincidence, it's still a really fun kind of like throwback to that film for me anyway. You'll come to the fun ending to this film where Dennis, who seemed like such a bad guy, he'd taken this couple as a hostage, but the whole time he's always about his girlfriend and taking care of her, making sure she's comfortable, making sure she's happy. And come to find out, he broke out of jail so that they could go across the border, and his only goal was to get her clean, to get her sober. Because as soon as he was in jail and found out that she was having drug problems, that's all he wanted to do, was to break out. And mind you, he was in jail for an unfortunate event because he had stolen a lot of money and in the process had accidentally killed a guy. So he decided that his nest egg, or the money that he had stashed away in a secret lockbox, that he was going to take all this money before they went across the border, and he was going to give it to the wife of the man that he had accidentally killed. So, very noble thing. He regrets his decisions for what he had done in the past, and so you kind of find out that Dennis is this good guy, that he's actually not a bad guy. So what I really love about this film is that it's elements of these characters that are so in-depth, and that you love these characters. So you really feel invested in when they're fighting this creature, and they're believable creatures. They're believable people, to where they're everyday Joe Schmo, that they're not overpowered, but they're coming up with these clever ways of fighting this creature, this monster, which I love half of the things that keep coming, because this creature kind of ends up starting to be kind of like the Thing, because it starts like attaching itself to other people and kind of like getting bigger, so kind of the throwback to the Thing. And we all know how much I love the Thing. So honestly, if you think about it, there's probably a big reason why I love this film, considering it gives a throwback to The Thing and Tremors 2, and my top two favorite horror films are The Thing and Tremors 2. Why have I never thought of that before? So you get to the conclusion of the film where you have Seth and Polly, who You know, this was just supposed to be kind of a quick review, but I realized just how much I enjoy this film and how underappreciated it is. And hopefully I remember to do a spoiler alert at the beginning. Anyway. And just how much I love and appreciate this film. So, already giving feedback for that. I'm so sorry. I'm so all over the place today. I'm peeling in here. Start off with issues with that, issues with thunderstorms, whatever. So, the conclusion of the film is that Seth and Polly and Dennis all kind of finally figure out a way that they're gonna get Dennis, of course, not Dennis. They're, of course, going to get Seth out to the cop car with the lowered body temperature, and they were distracting the creature with some fireworks, because since they had found out that it was attracted to heat. And so, unfortunately, Seth's body heat goes back up, so it attracts the creature, but Dennis, in the fact that he's actually a good guy, tries to come out and help Seth and everything, and tries to distract the creature even further with fireworks, but instead the creature ends up attacking him. And there's a lot of elements in this film that I'm not giving away. I don't want to give everything away. It's such a great film. You need to watch it if you haven't seen it, especially if you love horror films. Actually, even if you don't like horror films, you should watch it. That's my opinion. So you get the conclusion of that Dennis literally sacrifices his life to save the young couple, and he ends up giving them the key to the lockbox and tells them, hey, could you please do me a huge favor and give this money to the wife of the man that I killed. And it ends with him basically saying that he was coming to be with Lacey since Lacey was gone, and that's really all he cared about. So very sad ending, but a very good ending as well, and the typical horror movie where you have the young couple, Seth and Polly, walking away so that they can finally go get some help, and the little element of the surprise that, you know, there might be another creature in the forest that is infected with this parasite. Just maybe. Obviously, I love this film, and I watch it all the time. The first time I ever watched this film would have been years ago when it first came out. And I want to say when it first started streaming, I can't tell you if it was on Netflix or Hulu or which one it was on, but I had first watched this film with my dad and our little neighbor that used to hang out with us all the time, Gabby. And God, that would have been such a long time ago, because it could have even been where it wasn't even streaming. Maybe because I want to say that this one went straight to release. I don't think it was in theaters. It just went straight to film. And maybe it was one of those ones that we would have rented, because like I said, this was in 2008. And while I was going to community college, I was living with my parents. So it was very likely that my dad and I would have went to our local grocery store. That's how small town we were, is that you would rent your movies from the grocery store. And I can see us renting this one because we would love taking all those horror films. In fact, the cheesiest ones, which is probably why I love the cheesy ones the most, because that's what me and my dad and my brother would do, is we'd sit and watch all this stupid horror. And oh my God, we loved it. But this one's not a stupid film. This one is so underappreciated. It's such a good little gem. I hope someday that this one has a cult following. So I obviously wanted to talk about this one with the theme of, is it paranoia or is it parasites? In fact, the whole idea of this theme is centered around me wanting to talk about this movie. I had actually watched this one with my friend Brian and a few other people. I I want to say like a month, 2 months ago, and I was planning on doing a movie review then, and just things got switched around, and that's around when I started doing the Elizabeth Bathory movies, and it's like, well, that's not gonna tie in. So we are on the theme for that one. So obviously I love this movie. I already know that this whole review, this whole episode is a hot fucking mess. As long as I got across that I love this movie. So do I recommend this movie? Oh, fuck yeah, I recommend this movie. Anybody who loves horror movies, I would recommend this too. It pays homage to a lot of little gems, a lot of big gems, and it's just cute, clever. It's got a very small cast, but it's just so well done. And so yeah, I recommend this film to as many people as possible, and it's perfect for a movie night with friends. And if you have not seen it, I believe that it is streaming on, well, I shouldn't say I believe, it is streaming on Tubi right now. Now, whatever time frame that you end up watching this movie review, I can't guarantee that it's still streaming on Tubi, but as of right now, with me recording it, it is on Tubi. Please, if you have not seen this film, go watch it. If you hate this film, let me know why. I might not care, I will be honest, because I love this one so much, and you can't change my opinion of this one. But yes, I want to definitely thank you for joining me in this hot mess. I'm going to attempt to do another video after this one. We shall see how that goes. But cheers to you if you stuck around for this whole hot mess of a movie review of a film that I love a ton. I swear I'm not drunk. But thank you for giving me your time, your support, your love, and just thank you for joining me. And if you want more of me, please like and subscribe to this video. Please comment. Please tell me I'm a dork. I don't care. I know I am. And if you would like to follow me on my other social media platforms, you can follow me on my Twitter for Charsie Luxxx with 3 X's. Yes. And you can also follow me on my Instagram for Charsie87, and you can also follow me on my other YouTube channel with my friend DC for a little channel of horrors. Thank you. And as always, I hope you have a great day, a great afternoon, a great evening, a great night, whatever time of the day it is. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye! And don't worry, there's gonna be a lot of bloopers in this one. A lot. A lot. I don't know what's wrong with it. I mean, it's a comfort film of mine. It's definitely up there for one of my favorites. And, my brain is just gone. You can tell she's going through a lot of issues and problems because she's on the downflow. She needs her next hit. And she's... What is the word I'm looking for? Speaking of messes, the glue is already taking off. It could just look like falling off rotten skin, right? Right. On a positive note, I think all all of my splinters survived, so yay for lash glue working.
Woohoo!
We'll take the wins when we can get them.